Hey guys, welcome back to another story of Galaxy After Man. Today, we are going to be talking about The Hive, Part 4. This should be a good one, so take a seat, get comfortable, maybe have a cup of warm tea, and let's get started. Deep under the surface of Fungura, an underground public gladiator pit is busy with a massive crowd. Thousands of heat bugs from all different castes would roar and cheer at the victorious gladiator in the pit. Standing above a freshly slayed Sawjaw would stand a proud drone. This drone, known simply as Glad 5, would hold his spear over his head with the blade still dripping with the blue blood of his kill. He lets out a fearsome scream of victory. Glad 5 also would flash his purple bioluminescent patches as bright and as hot as he could. Just another symbol of his victory. He stands on top of the once living, mighty Sawjaw. As the crowd continues to cheer, Glad 5 would simply step down from the beast, ripping out one of the predator's teeth as a trophy. He holds up the tooth in glory. The crowd continues to roar. This signal gladiator drone would have slayed many of the most fearsome species of Sawjaws, to even Stalkosaurs, to even new alien animals found across known space. Glad 5 would be the most famous across the Hive as the warrior in the shell of a drone. He single-handedly has won every battle he has ever been a part of, and in this way, he was a warrior, and it was this warrior that the Queen Mother would pick to take part in a very important job. But first, he must prove his true worth through a simple test. Later on, as Praetorian guards lead Glad 5 to the Queen Mother's chamber, he would meet face to face with the leader of the whole species. With the drone only 8 feet tall, and the Queen Mother herself being over 15 feet tall, she towers over him. His bare, smooth skull would be scarred from and far from the Queen Mother's elegant and art-like head crest. His head blades broken and chipped, in stark contrast with her clean, sharp head blades. She would give Glad 5 the honor to take part in an ancient test to prove his worth. And on command, the single drone would release a mix of pheromones to make him seem as a hostile rival enemy, a danger to the Hive. Detecting this, 2 of the Queen's own Praetorian guards would jump into action quickly to defend their Queen Mother. Nature would take over, and the fight would begin. So they charge and attack the drone. The guards themselves being over 10 feet tall, with strong, solid armor and agile attacks. They are one of the best guardsmen there are in the whole species. So Glad 5 must show he is even better. The battle would begin, and already would turn brutal. At first, the lone drone would be overwhelmed and slashed into by the guard's powerful, sharp, glowing hot claws. However, Glad 5, using his experience in the gladiatorial pits, and decides to use his bladed legs to slash free. Or he would try, managing to break through the guard's strong armor shell into their sides, but the muscle under it would be so solid it's nearly stronger than the exoskeleton itself. Glad 5 would simply curl up and barrel roll out of the vicious slashes of the guards. Now being free, the lonely drone targets the strongest looking guard. As Glad 5 runs and screams at the single guard, the guard responds with its own battle cry and flashes its yellow bioluminescent light patches on its body. They slam into one another, but the smaller drone is grabbed and choked. The shock and the force of being hit by such a massive creature would rip the breath away from the small drone. but Glad 5 would waste no time slashing his head blades into the larger heat bug's chest. Yet, he would fail to hit any vital organs. The second guard grabs Glad by his arm and digs deep into his flesh using the claws, deep into the weaker drone's armor and blood. Being flung across the room with great force, the lonely drone hits the ground with a loud thud, trying to return to his feet as fast as he could, but it's too late. The two guards are already on him, slashing into the drone's body, their claws slashing deep into the exoskeleton and flesh. Blood begins to pool all over as it glows and lights up the floor. Even down to the internal skeleton they would dig with their claws. But Glad 5, being an experienced gladiator, would see something the guards fail to think of. The guards would have their weaker bellies wide open. With a quick slash from Glad 5's bladed legs, he slashes deep into one of their bellies, ripping deep into the armor and softer flesh. Behold, one of the guards bleeds, and the guard's green organs spill out, still steaming and hot. Glad 5 would turn his attention fully now on the remaining guard, and with great effort once more slashes his head blades into the Praetorian guard's chest, and at the same time slashes into his belly. The great Praetorian guard would fall still, only to then simply drop to the ground dead. About to scream in victory over his win, Glad 5 would make the biggest mistake he himself would fully understand, but has overlooked. Never turn your back to an enemy till you're sure they're finished. The Praetorian guard, whose insides are hanging out, would grab the drone and with great force rips off chunks of the smaller drone's armor and flesh around his shoulder, chest, and lower neck. Glad 5 calls out in pain, one would even say a yelp, yet the drone uses his hands to grab the last guard's insides, still hanging out and steaming with freshness. Grabbing the soft, squishy organs with one pull, all the insides would come out and fall onto the floor with a big sklop noise. The final guard responds by picking up the drone and slamming him down onto the sharp, ceremonial knee spikes on his knee. Glad 5 lets out a call of pain as the spikes dig into his belly. The mighty Praetorian guard once more picks up the small drone and with great force flings the smaller creature across the floor. The mighty guard looks down at his own vital organs on the floor, only to step on them and walk closer to the wounded drone. However, for all the might of this guard, not even he can survive losing his insides. So a little stumble and a loss of footing, the guard falls to the ground and is ended. And now, Glad 5 releases his normal pheromones to prevent others from attacking him. He stands holding his bleeding belly and lets out a scream of victory. However, the Praetorian guards would inflict deep wounds into Glad 5. But in the end, he, with his bare hands, would have proven victorious once more. Covered in a mix of his own glowing blood and of his attacker's blood, he falls to his knees, both to kneel to the almighty Queen Mother out of respect and out of pain. As the light of the glowing funguses slowly fade around him, his world grows dark. But as a result of his victory, and proving he is a true warrior worth being by the Queen Mother's side, this low-level, bottom-of-the-cast drone would be blessed with royal jelly. As he feeds on the sweet, thick, greasy pink jelly, a chemical and biological change would happen in his body as a result, and within an hour, he would molt into a fully healed, 13-foot-tall emperor, with a massive stylized head crest that's as beautiful as a work of art. As the last of his old armor shell falls off, revealing his now soft, still solidifying white shell, he lets out a primitive scream of victory. And on this day, a new hero of the Hive has been discovered. 15 days after the war broke out, the first transport ships on Fungura would be built and ready to travel to Susta 3. Glad 5, along with a few of the Queen Mother's very own Praetorian guards, would be tasked in leading the great assault. Under their command would be some of the most elite warriors from all different castes across Fungura, all armed to the teeth with the sharpest swords, strongest shields, and most advanced spike launchers. With great celebrations held and good luck said from all within the nation, the first true active military fleet would be created. This fleet would be made up of Queen's Dagger warships, 4 of them in total, with an Empress Sword class capital ship, along with countless other smaller transports. Altogether, it was given the name Glad's Triumph, and his powerful fleet would be sent to Susta 3. However, it might be too late to help. Glad's Triumph travels through space. The top military officers and Glad 5 himself would review data and reports from the past few days. All the stories were the same. Endless numbers of jungle heat bugs swarming, overrunning the local hives, ending and then eating all who were in their way, may they be fighters or the unhatched. One key fact of the matter was true. Susta 3 was nearly fully lost. Reports, however, would be positive on one aspect. In the heart of the largest continent on Susta 3, known as Marzu, a single hive has built up its power and reinforced its land. Known as Mother's Cradle, it's a massive city fully surrounded by a massive wall of rock, metal, and hive matter. This wall would be over 70 miles in length and covered with large mounted defense turret platforms and spike launchers. Even walkways on top of the wall, allowing guards to move freely and fight from the safety of the top, high away from danger. This wall was declared unbreakable, and the monument to the power of the night heat bugs, as they were able to create and fortify their city in such little time. But will it hold up against the largest assault yet by the jungle relatives? The only reassurance would be simply hope. Even as war rages on, the fact of the matter is there are still many other habitable planets that are capable of supporting life across known space. So now, 6 new brave colony ships would be sent forth to go into the stars, to local solar systems, and to nearby habitable planets. With advancements in technology and simply more knowledge, each colony ship is well prepared. Every ship has 5 queens and a single empress, all accompanied by a small number of drones, warriors, and even royal guards to help defend and set up their new hives. Traveling along with them would be the needed fungal spores to start planting fields of different fast-growing crops of fungus, along with spores to even raise fung walkers, and even some calf meat bugs to farm. Also aboard these ships are gallons of water, extra food, and much needed resources to start their new hive with the best of luck. As each ship travels from Fungura and enter the void of space, they all split into different directions and set forth to their new home. As Glad's triumph is only a day away from Susta 3, reports would be received about the largest invasion by the jungle heat bugs yet is taking place. Millions of these creatures would swarm the key areas around Mother's Cradle, while the towering walls keep the invaders from climbing over for now. Their numbers are aided by tanks and heavy weaponry. The defenses of the last Hive city would hold up, but for how long is unknown. However, in truth, while this news is troubling to hear, it was planned, and some dare even say, hoped for. As while nearly every jungle heat bug invades the last of Susta 3's defenses, their own hive, their own queen mother, might be lightly defended. However, Glad 5, his top military officers, and even the Queen Mother still hope that Susta 3 can hold off the enemy and distract them just a little longer. The plan that has not been said to the public is that many other colony ships traveling to claim other habitable worlds, the value of this single world, Susta 3, will drop. While it still is a valued key planet within their nation, it will soon be one of many, and the idea of scarring the planet just a little bit is seen as okay. Keeping in contact with Susta 3, information was coming in as good news. Mother's Cradle is holding off the enemy better than what was first believed. While the battle rages on and is very fierce and ferocious, it would seem victory quite possibly may be achieved if everything continues as planned. But just as hope started to seem possible, communication would be lost due to interference of being in light speed. While they can travel faster than light, with their technology so new, it sometimes suffers from communication jams. And from how it seems, that's what's happening, and that's why communication was lost. But luckily, hope was restored as Glad's triumph exited light speed and entered the orbit of Susta 3. Before them was the planet, its endless forests covering nearly every landmass on the world's surface, to the magical, clear, and clean waters of its many lakes and oceans. This all would nearly overwhelm the fleet at the sheer beauty of this world. Yet, this would end up only fueling their feeling of anger and hate at this species who would dare bring war to such a world. And with the cannon batteries on the ships opening, and the countless transports ready to launch at the mere word, the cosmic war of purity has only just begun.